Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. And I have just watched the Canadian Grand Prix, as I'm sure you have as well. And I have to say off the bat that this was, I think, almost definitely the best Formula One race so far in 2023. Mostly because there was a lot more action in the mid-pack, which I think made this race a lot more entertaining. And there was still a bit of a lull in the sort of the middle part of the race. It was after they took the second pit stops, it sort of just heated up a little bit. But I did enjoy this race. I did pay attention to it, which has not been the case for Formula One pretty much all this year. And yet, at the front, this was once again a Max Verstappen demonstration. Demonstrating why he is as good as he is, why the Red Bull is as good as it is. They really are just a perfect combination right now. And this was his fourth win on the trot. Obviously, Red Bull have taken all 8 wins so far this year. It looks pretty easy for him, to the point where he was making mistakes and laughing about it on the radio, which I find hilarious. Good on him for being that relaxed, I guess. As for everyone else, this was a good race for a lot of drivers, even the ones who didn't necessarily score points, and a very bad race for a few. Starting with Ferrari, they can't be disappointed with 4th and 5th considering how badly qualifying went for them, and it was actually good strategy on their part, which I feel like is the first time we're saying that in years. I'm sure it's not that long, but it's been a long time since we can compliment Ferrari's strategy choices. But they did a very good job not pitting under the early safety car, holding on to the medium tyres until, was it 30 or 40 laps in? It was a long time on the mediums. And then switching to the hards, getting to the end of the race. They were well ahead of Sergio Perez, who also did a pretty good job to get back up after his disastrous qualifying. And even though they never really challenged Hamilton in front of them, it was still a really good result for Ferrari. Probably as good as they could expect from this weekend. They really are the 4th best team at the moment. Mercedes, Aston Martin are definitely ahead of them, and of course Red Bull far ahead. So 4th and 5th for their drivers, on the face of it, it may not seem great. They're off the podium again, but for Ferrari this year, that is a good result. It was a good strategy call. They pretty much did everything right in the race. They need to get their qualifying sorted out because it's been messy the last couple of races. And Leclerc's season definitely needs to improve. Sainz as well is capable of better, but he is at least consistently scoring points. I think there's only one race he's missed out on. So there's signs of hope for Ferrari, but they need some big upgrades just to get a bit more speed out of the car. Fernando Alonso finishing second again. A fantastic job from him. Overtook Hamilton on the track, and it wasn't just a DRS pass. He got him mid-corner, and he honestly managed the race very well after that. Even when he had his rear brake issues and Hamilton was closing on him, he is an experienced head, the most experienced. And he managed it perfectly, kept ahead of Hamilton, kept the gap between them, did a fantastic job, very much deserved second place. Mercedes looked as good as they have all year, and it was pretty easy for Hamilton in third, but he never really challenged Alonso. Once Alonso got past, that was kind of it. And he never challenged Verstappen. He was not even close, so there is still work to do for the Mercedes. George Russell, what can you say? He hit the wall. It was his fault. It was a mistake. It destroyed his race. He had managed to get back up into the points, but ended up retiring with, I think, brake issues. Bad. Very bad. I don't know what's happened to George Russell. He was incredible last year. This year so far has been atrocious to him. Of course, he's had Mercedes' only mechanical failure. I guess technically this was a mechanical failure, but it was caused by a crash, but he obviously broke down. Was it Australia? I can't remember. He broke down somewhere. Engine failure, wasn't it? I can't remember where. He's definitely having the worst luck, and I don't think the way they've developed the car really suits him. They've definitely not gone in the George Russell direction. And it's hurting his... Unless things improve rapidly, he's always going to be fighting for the edge of the podium. And I think that'd be disappointing to him. I think he should have been looking at taking wins this year. Obviously, he took his first in Brazil last year. But I don't think it doesn't look like he's going to have much of a chance to add to that. If anyone can beat a Red Bull anyway. Sergio Perez, again, terrible in qualifying. I don't know if it's strategy or just a bad choices. I guess they're the same thing. It just didn't work for him. He was on the wrong tyre at the wrong time. It made the race a lot harder, and he is slipping away in the championship. He is still second in the standings despite his best efforts, but another poor result, and he's falling further and further away from Max Verstappen. Who else? Lance Stroll, again, bad in qualifying. Didn't really have the pace of his teammate in the race. And he did manage to get 2 points. But again, I think given how well Alonso is performing in the Aston Martin, Lance Stroll really needs to improve. There were some unusual drivers in the top 10. Alexander Albon did an incredible job in qualifying. He got it spot on. And he did a really good job in the race. He made those hard tyres last, I think, around 55, 56 laps. That's short of miraculous. And it was kind of disappointing that he was leading this group of cars, but no one mentioned a trolley train. But that's what it was. I mean, he held up Ocon, Norris, Bottas, Stroll for a good portion of the race. I'd say at least half almost. And it was perfect. Perfect strategy on his part. Used the pace of the Williams, which is fast, if not brilliant, around the corners. But 7th place for Albon. Best result for Williams so far this year. I think they'll definitely be very happy with that. And it was another fantastic job from Albon, who definitely deserves to be in Formula 1. And I think he's proving that right now. Norris, I thought, drove very well. The McLaren is definitely off the pace at the moment, and he would have scored points if not for a penalty. McLaren actually didn't score any points at all, and it's another disappointing weekend for them. We know McLaren can do a lot better than this, and I think Norris is driving really well. Piastri is doing okay. I think he might regret leaving Alpine, who are doing slightly better right now. But McLaren, they could come good again. You never know with them. But this was another bad race for them, despite the driver's best efforts. Who else was in the points? Ocon was in the points. It was kind of bleh from Alpine, but Ocon did okay. And Gasly had a bad qualifying, and strategy didn't work out for him, and he was out of the points. Bottas scored points for Alfa Romeo, which I think is the second race in a row Alfa Romeo scored points, which is a lot better from them than the start of the season. Bottas looked quick at times, but he did start to drop back towards the end of the race. He actually finished 11th. He only got a point because Norris got a penalty. Zhou never really featured. Tsunoda, didn't see him. Nick de Vries had his issues with Magnussen, but he wasn't really threatening the points anyway. But it is another bad moment for Nick de Vries, who is a lot better than this. It's, for some reason, that AlphaTauri is not doing him any favours. Magnussen in the Haas as well. Haas in qualifying looked quick. Of course, Nico Hülkenberg qualified second, which is incredible. But in the race, they just can't hold on to it and they drop back. And it's a shame. There's clearly pace in that car, but they need to do it in the race, not just in qualifying. And Logan Sargent broke down fairly early on, so we didn't really get to see him. And so, yeah, I mean, it was an entertaining race, as I said. In the mid-pack, I think Albon holding up Ocon, Norris, Bottas and Stroll and sort of forcing everyone to be pretty close together. That was entertaining stuff. But at the front of the field, Verstappen's so far clear of everyone else. Once Alonso passed Hamilton, Hamilton never really threatened him. The Ferraris didn't really threaten Hamilton at any point. Perez never really got in touch with the Ferraris. And obviously everyone else behind that was miles away. So at the front of the field, there's still not a lot going on. But at least this race did have some action and some overtakes and some conflict. I don't know. I would say this is a 3.5 out of 5 race, and I'm being generous with that. And honestly, I'm being generous because every other race has been pretty much hot garbage so far in 2023. Next up is Austria, which is a track I really like, and I'm looking forward to that one. It's kind of Red Bull's home track. I mean, it's the Red Bull Ring, so they'll be hoping to get win number 9 of the year. Max Verstappen will be hoping for a 5th win in a row. Honestly, the way he's going, he could have this title sewn up by Qatar. Because at the moment, the teams, or the drivers chasing him, like Alonso, Perez, Hamilton, they're swapping 2nd and 3rd places, or not even finishing that high, especially Perez at the moment. And so they're all just taking points off each other and dropping away, whilst Max Verstappen is one. Like, he's so far ahead that it's honestly, he could just, if reliability holds and his luck holds, he could honestly take, I don't know how many races are, 17, 16 races left, 15 races left, 14, I don't know. But he could take another 10 wins this year, and it's going to be pretty easy for him to take the championship. But this was better, it gives me hope, and I'm definitely looking forward to Austria. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm going to go watch IndyCar, Road America. That was it's my race that I was most looking forward to this weekend, and I'm sure it'll be a good one. So make sure you subscribe. There'll be more motorsport content incoming. I am going to do more videos than I have been lately. I have been working on stuff, I just haven't uploaded it. So hopefully next week some stuff will come out. And with that, have a good one.